Hi there, I'm Captain Brett. I'm going to bring to you an Icefall Mantle build for episode Revenant. Icefall Mantle recently got a rework. It no longer slows you while you have it active. It's no longer an overshield, it's now frost armor, so it's more synergistic with stasis. Additionally, it now does a big old AoE freeze, which is super handy, and it gives you a bit of healing as well. As far as stats, max out your resilience, you want that cooldown reduction on your class ability as low as possible, and for damage reduction. Second primary stat to focus on would be discipline, with strength being the third stat in tier of importance. Recovery, having that decently high is helpful, not really required. We're not relying on this for healing. Intellect, it can be whatever you can get away with, doesn't really matter. And then mobility, Titan, you want it as low as possible. It doesn't mess with your mantle when it's low. For armor mods, the only things that are terribly important here is having a siphon mod for your stasis weapons, bolstering detonation, and focusing strike, so that whenever you use your class ability, or it reduces your class ability energy whenever you use those. For your legs, you want recuperation for a flat heal. It is more helpful, I have found, than running with better already, just because you're generally in the thick of things and you're getting shot, so it's not going to regenerate a whole lot, whereas a flat chunk of healing is a lot nicer, and you'll be able to make plenty of orbs of power and keep that healing going. Absolution is also really helpful. It feeds off of your siphon, so you can get more ability cooldowns. The last one, you can go with a stasis weapon surge. You can also go with another absolution mod. I have actually been running with the solar holster for my shotgun, just so it reloads my shotgun and I don't have to think about it. But if you got something with auto loading or whatever, you don't have to do that. Go with a surge or absolution instead. For the class ability, outreach or bomber for either melee or grenade regen whenever you use your class ability in your targets, as well as distribution for the same reason. Reduces all ability cooldowns when using your class ability near targets. Helps keep that ability loop going. Last one, I went with proximity ward as more of a emergency overshield when I'm in the thick of things, but if you don't really care about that, go for a second distribution stat mod. That'll just keep your abilities up even better. For weapons, your choice really. You can go with any exotic you'd like, as long as it synergizes with your siphon mod, that you're going to be whatever your main weapon will be. I like to go with a headstone weapon. Doesn't really matter. There are a lot of options that can get headstone. That just helps feed the stasis shard loop, which gives you frost armor, just keeps you tanky. Additionally, stasis, it's going to do a lot of damage this season anyway, so headstone, very, very recommended. Fergless Curve is a great option as well if you like bows. You can also use the new Alethanim, I believe is how it's pronounced, for taking advantage of that. I didn't really care for this. It feels a little clunky with the build. I like weapons that can shoot a little bit more freely. So I went with either an SMG for overloads or a pulse for unstoppables as my main go-to. I personally like the Yarrow of it. This one has felt really good with the SMG changes and being overload with, in this case, rewind rather than headstone. Your choice though. Special weapon, your choice. You can go with an arc or void weapon to synergize with the artifact. Doesn't really matter. I'm going with an incandescent shotgun just because I like that. Heavy weapon. Anything here that synergizes with stasis will help, so you can work with that stasis weapon surge if you're using that. I found a dimensional hypotrochoid for that wave frame. Ad clear is phenomenal. It also chunks big targets, still does decent boss damage, even though it's not a meta pick necessarily. You could swap this out for something new, like the bittersweet grenade launcher that came out. The jolting feedback perk in particular synergizes very well with the kinetic impacts. So you're just doing big chunks of damage to whatever it is you're shooting. Great for DPS scenarios. Could go with a rocket launcher, something like a cold comfort with bait and switch, but your choice really. Plenty of options, your choice. For artifact mods, the ones that I would really recommend focusing on is one with frost. Really helpful for your stasis weapon to feel a lot better. Wind chill for more frost armor stacks and to keep them up from precision hits. Crystalline Converter makes your melee pretty handy. It makes a couple stasis crystals when it's charged, at least partially, all the way. It makes several. Very nice to have. Armor of Aramis. and either Debilitating Wave or Hail the Storm, your choice there. I found that Debilitating Wave is a little bit more helpful in low-end content where you're not really worried about killing the ads around champions. You just go in on the champ itself, bag dump them, use your finisher on them, and then focus on the ads around them. But anything higher tier than that, you'll probably be focusing down the ads around the champion first and then going in for the champ, in which case this becomes rather useless. So in that case, go with Hail the Storm. This one just in general is going to be very good. For the final column here, Served Cold, Stasis Shards grant you class ability energy, feeds perfectly into the loop, and Kinetic Impacts if you're using a grenade launcher. If you're not using a GL, you could go with Brain Freeze. You could go with either Conductive for bonus damage there or Supernova. It really doesn't matter. The only one that I'd really focus on is Served Cold, and then your choice of the rest. For the subclass, for Stasis specifically, I recommend the Glacier Grenade for more shatters, which also gives you more of those Stasis Shards. Aspects, Diamond Lance, and Tectonic Harvest. Tectonic Harvest is mandatory to get that Frost Armor and keep that up almost all the time. And then the Diamond Lance for more of those Stasis Crystals whenever it hits a major champion. Major champion, mini-boss, or boss, what have you. Fragments. The only really mandatory ones here is Whisper of Fissures, which increases the size and damage of your Stasis Shatters, and Whisper of Rime, which gives you a increased duration and a maximum stat count for Frost Armor, so you're tankier and it lasts a lot longer, so it's easier to keep up. The other three are interchangeable. We have here Whisper of Shards, so more grenade regen. Whisper of Conduction, just ease of use, don't have to hunt down the Stasis Shards, they come to you, which I found very useful. And Whisper of Chill, this one is just for more Stasis Shards from Weapon Final Blows. Any of these Shards, Conduction, or Chill, you can replace with something like Refraction or Rending, whatever you'd like with those. I found these ones to synergize the best with the build. Your preference there. For Prismatic, you do, of course, need to equip Glacial Quake or your exotic will not work. It'll just be a glorified legendary. So make sure you've got Glacial Quake on. Glacier Grenade again for more Stasis Crystals. And then for this one, rather than going with the Stasis melee, I actually went for Frenzied Blade Consecration, so you can have 3 Consecration Slams. This has been fixed. It does now shatter Stasis Crystals, so this is super handy to just put out a big old wave of fire, shatter crystals, kill enemies. Very strong, very potent. For the second aspect, Knockout, I found to be more reliable, and it does increase your survivability because you do not have Whisper of Rime, which gives you more Stasis Frost Armor stacks. The healing from Knockout will kind of help bridge that gap and make sure you stay alive. You can switch this out for Diamond Lance if you would like more Stasis Shards. I kind of felt that I liked Knockout better. Your call there. For Fragments, Facet of Ruin works perfectly with both Consecration and all the Stasis Crystals that you'll be spawning. Facet of Awakening and Facet of Hope, these synergize very nicely. So Rapid Final Blows will give you Stasis Shards. And then while you have Frost Armor from those Stasis Shards, your class ability will regenerate more quickly. Faster Protection, just more damage resist while you're surrounded. You're going to be trying to be in the thick of things for the majority of the fights. Granted, don't be dumb. Back up and play safe if you need to. Facet of Purpose, whenever you pick up an Orb of Power, it will also grab you Frost Armor. So, very nice there. If you do go with Diamond Lance, you can pick up another mod here. Really your choice. I didn't think about it too hard because I didn't really care for that. So that's the build. I will show you a little bit of gameplay here. The basic loop is you want to get into a group of enemies, activate your class ability, and then use whatever weapon to shatter them or punch them to shatter them, and just get a whole bunch of Stasis Shards real quick. For tankier targets, pop down your Glacier Grenade, and then I like to actually switch to my Heavy GL and just pop off a shot, which shatters all the crystals, does a big chunk of damage, can keep firing if they're still alive. This works really well in Onslaught, made it up to wave 50, no problems. I actually didn't die until wave 50, so keeps you alive very, very well. And if you've got a decent bit of practice in there with it, it works out nicely. So good luck out there and have fun.